welcome to the Simple Cooking with Heart Kitchen in my home. And tonight we're doing the very fancy recipe of herbed halibut on a bed of julienne vegetables, which is, long strips in parchment paper. So very, very fancy. This is kind of what it looks like. I make one ahead of time because I want to put that in the oven before we get the rest of these ready. So it's not a lot of ingredients, and you don't have to use halibut. I just love halibut. It's halibut's a huge fish. I don't know if you're familiar with it. It's kind of close to flounder, but like way bigger, like up to like 300, 400 pounds. That would look kind of scary, a 300, 400 pound flounder, with those two bug eyes looking at any rate, but it's wonderful, and it's thick, white, flaky meat that is a little on the sweet side and very delicious. So again, you could substitute tilapia, which is, much more affordable option for anybody, and you can get it frozen. You can get any of your fish packaged, frozen, in portions. That's it's actually a real economical way to do it, because frankly, most of the fish you're buying is flash frozen on the boat. So, I mean, right out of the ocean, fillet, portion and frozen on the boat. Same thing with shrimp. So I have already kind of pre-cut my parchment paper here. It said like 15 inches, but I kind of liked it a little bit bigger. This one is 15 inches. I just like to have a little bit more room and more of a fold. But I thought the cute thing is we get to fold it in half like this. So, you can fold them both in half, because I'm just going to make two of them for you. Just two tonight. So fold that in half, and I got the big parchment paper, which I like. And again, you don't have to use the parchment. You can use aluminum foil. I'm just trying to be a little bit more, sustainable. So now I'm going to draw a heart. How perfect is that? American Heart Association. And we have to draw a heart. If I can draw a heart, there we go. And then I'm going to cut that out. Now, this is not exactly how they described it in the recipe. That's because I'm showing you the classic French technique. This is what my mother used to do. And it's always good to know how it's done originally, in my opinion. Okay, throw that away. Put your little garbage. And so there we have a beautiful heart. That cute? Woohoo! American Heart Association. And we're working with a heart. I love that. So get your little hearts ready. Put them aside here. And now I'm going to get started on the vegetables. So I think the first one we're going to start with are asparagus. Now, since I'm only making 2 portions tonight, I don't need a ton. I just need enough for 2. So I'm going to got some beautiful fresh asparagus. They're in season now, so they're just about everywhere. And if you want to use, fat ones or thin ones, it's up to you. But whatever you do, you want one that's firm, preferably still has the tips. That's the first thing I look at. I want all my tips to be beautiful. You don't want them too, now here's a good example, kind of shriveled up at the end. You can see, I know full well that whole piece right there is going to be woody and icky. So So this is, I'm just going to take that off, but the rest of it's good. So, there's a couple of different ways you can do your asparagus. You can just the lazy way like I do and just lop it all off, which seems to work fine. Or where it gets woody by snapping it. So where it snaps, this is the tender end and that's the woody end. And then if you wanted to get very Franco-filed and super fancy, you could do a little peeling. So that's what they do in the fancy French restaurants. But who has time for that? I mean, it looks really pretty, but we're not going to do that. They have like tons of people working in the restaurant to do that, make it all beautiful. I'm just going to kind of snap them like this because I do not like getting that woody. Here's another one that definitely is going to be woody. So snap, snap, snap. Easy peasy. And then, like I said, if you just want to lop off the end, go ahead. No judging, okay? And now I'm just going to slice these to like little 1 inch slices. Alrighty. It's as simple as that. Mix them all up. Now this is going to be the base. So I'm going to put them in just directly onto my sheet, my parchment sheet, which I'm going to spray a little bit with cooking spray. There you go. Let's plunk some of these in. That's going to be the bottom, our base. Love asparagus. Easy peasy. And honestly, if you don't like asparagus, there are so many other vegetables. You could put any vegetable in here. Oh my goodness. Whatever's in season. You could put some zucchini squash. You could put some tomatoes. You could go so many different directions with this. Okay. The next ingredient is we want some carrots. Now I've had these carrots. I'm almost embarrassed to tell you how long they've been in my refrigerator. Honestly, a couple of weeks, I think. And that's not a bad thing. That's a good thing. Think about it. You purchase carrots. They're great for you. You can eat them cooked. You can eat them raw, and they last a really long time. So that's a plus in my book. And these are actually organic carrots. You can pretty much tell by this guy. Yeah, he is not ugly. He is really pretty. Okay, it's it's a little dancer. I love this farm that I go to out here, my organic farmer. It's wonderful, and I feel good buying organic carrots because I'm going to leave the skin on, because actually what I was telling my other class, there are so many nutrients on the outside of the carrot. So you don't even have to peel them if you don't want to, because that's where all of the majority of the nutrients are, is on that outer layer. So now they're a little hard to slice thin, but we're gonna try. I think the whole recipe calls for 1 large carrot. I don't have a large carrot. Oh my God. All I have are these 3 little stumpy ones, but they're super sweet. And that's what I like. I gotta put my glasses on.
And Chef, I'm gonna ask you, can you move your cutting board a little bit to your right? Get more of it in the.
You can't see what I'm cutting?
Oh no, you can see just a little bit. Yeah, a little bit more. Perfect.
A little better. I just need to cut over here. Okay, now I'm going to try to cut these in thin strips. And if I have to turn it over so the flat side is down on the cutting board, that is what I'm going to do. Now, what's important, and I forgot to see anybody cooking with me out there, I do need to remind you the safe way to hold your knife, which I forgot to do. naughty, naughty. So we call it the pinching the blade. So I put my thumb all the way at the bottom of the blade towards the handle, and then I have my other pointer finger on the other side, sort of straddled over it, and then my other three fingers go around the handle. And this is the safest way to hold the blade. A lot of people want to do this. It's not a good idea. Your finger starts to hurt. And also it could slip. So that could create a very bad accident, and we don't want that to happen. Okay, now my other hand gets curled over like a claw. So all my knife is doing is sliding along my knuckles. And make sure your thumb is scooching back. You just don't want to cut off your fingers, your fingertips, because I think you kind of need them, right? And if you can't, or you don't want to do this, you can just buy the bag of matchsticks already done. Okay, like I said, there's no judging. If the carrot was fatter, I would show you how I do it on a mandolin, but I'm not gonna get that out. So now just cut it in some nice strips, thin strips. Now we're cutting everything the same. We're trying to cut everything the same thickness because we want everything to cook at the same speed. If you got things different temp, different thicknesses. I'm gonna go ahead and stick this in now because I want to be able to pull that out like my magic oven. Presto, ready. So again, I'm just doing this slow and carefully. There's no contest here. Not in a hurry, although I am a little hungry. So that's probably enough carrot. Yeah, I have 2 bags of matchstick carrots in the refrigerator. I thought of bringing them out and using them, but I'm like, nope, I want to show you this. A little bit of practice. So we actually used, I had some beautiful purple carrots that were absolutely gorgeous. I didn't find any today. All right, so we're just gonna add our carrots. I think the portion after it's cooked is probably gonna melt down to about half a cup of vegetables. And there we go. Now the last one vegetable that we're gonna use is another one of my favorites. And this is a leek in the onion family, and they're pretty easy to find everywhere. I prefer to really only use the white part. Because I don't, I think the green part takes longer to cook, but you could totally save this darker green part and put it in some stock that you're making. Now we need to cut off this bottom end. You'll be able to see where it ends. Just the white part is just so sublime. It's also a main ingredient in one of my favorite soups. But they're also super dirty, usually. I don't know how this one is so perfectly clean, but who knows? Maybe it is, but I don't trust it. So I'm definitely going to just give it a quick little bath in here, because there's nothing worse than having dirt food. Probably good for you, it probably helps build up your, immune system. So this one is just incredibly clean. I'm not seeing any dirt whatsoever, which is nice. Normally I would do this in the sink, but here we go. So it's not a whole leek, so really I'm just going to cut up half, okay? I did some earlier, so I'm gonna move you back over here. Goodbye, goodbye. Now for the leeks, easy peasy. You just do the same thing, you know, pile up, make a nice little pile. I turn it over so it's not curling up. And then I'm just gonna slice it. You can see how my other hand is, again, kind of curled over. And I don't know if y'all are familiar, but there's two ways of slicing. Some people slice towards them, you know, just sliding it. And some people slide away. So either way works beautifully. So I have a gorgeous white, look at that, julienne. And then just keep going. I love leeks. Now, and if you can't find a leek, don't worry about it. You could totally swap this out for, you know, a scallion. Why not? That would work beautifully. You know, and if you can't find scallions, which I know you can find scallions everywhere, you know, and slice the scallion basically the same way. You could put a shallot, you know, or just onions sliced real thinly. That would work too. So again, there's no wrong. Now this is going to give us a really nice, flavorful sort of a broth as it cooks down. Look at that. Isn't that pretty? So I'm going to put these guys in here. Pile them up. I may be making, maybe my pile might be a little bit large, but that's why I cut my parchment bigger. Okay, I'll save these, put that aside. And I think the last thing I need to slice up here, last but not least, are chives. I love chives. Now chives are wonderful. They you know, they grow themselves in the garden. I actually looked outside to see if I had some. Again, if you can't find chives, you could totally use the I believe they have, you know, dried ones in the store. Again, this is kind of a, you know, more on that lines of the onion flavor. So if you can't find any, don't worry about it. And I don't know if you can see how I've stored them. I washed them, and then this one's already turning. And then I get a wet, not too wet paper towel, roll them up in that wet paper towel, put them in the bag, and store them in the refrigerator like that. Okay. Now I want to slice these nice and fine. The recipe says only 2 tablespoons, so we really only need 1 tablespoon. So this is probably going to be too much. So again, I'm just lining them up in a nice little pile. Same thing. Now I want to slice these as thinly as possible. Now the recipe says to put the fish on it and then put all of the herbs on top of the fish, and I don't know, I like to put a little bit of the herbs and a little bit of the salt and pepper on top of our vegetables as well. So here we go. There we have a beautiful, beautiful. I'm going to wait a second because I also want to use some lemon zest. I know it's not in the recipe, but I just can't resist. You know, I think everything needs a little bit of lemon. So I want to do a little bit of lemon zest. If you do not have a zester, I highly recommend you get one. And this one's great because it has 2 sides. It's got that the wider side, and then it has the narrow side. And I don't need a lot of zest. I might as well just zest right over. Now, carefully, when you're zesting, you'll hold your lemon and then just sort of turn it, and then it comes right off. Don't go over the same spot more than once, because you don't want to get down to that white pithy part, because that is bitter. Okay, so let's get that off. Bang, bang. Let me get the rest of it. It's also pretty. Here we go. Mix that up in here. Voila. Now I think we need a little bit of pepper. So I do want to put a little bit of pepper on my veggies. I'm going to put a tiny bit of salt. We only get to use a tiny bit. And it is okay to use a little bit of salt when you're cooking. I know, we're the American Heart Association, but actually your body needs a certain amount of sodium. I mean, most of the time we get a little bit too much of it, but you should be careful. Okay, so here's my gorgeous, move that over, my gorgeous piece of fish here. I do want to dry it off. So let me get a paper towel. Forgive me. As you can see, it's on ice. So you always want to keep, I actually put the package straight on the ice. Keep it chilled. This particular piece right here, beautiful. It's thick. It doesn't smell. This is what we're looking for. When you press on it, it doesn't stay down, it bounces back up. That's what you want. Smells like the ocean. And believe it or not, this little piece right here is 1 pound. So this piece feeds 4 people. So really, I'm going to cut it in half. Here, I guess that's about right. Doesn't have any bones in it either. So 4 pieces, about 4 ounces each. Some of these may be a little bit off, but that's okay. Sort of estimating 4 ounces per person. Okay, so that should be plenty, with all of the wonderful vegetables, my beautiful fish. I'm going to put that right on top of my little packets. Stay there. Save these for later. The fish on the packets. Now we're getting in the final stretch here, and now I'm going to add a little bit more of my scallion mixture with the beautiful zest. And last but not least is the tarragon. Now I know tarragon can be difficult to find sometimes, but it must be coming into season, because I have been able to find it. So I was very happy. It's got a wonderful flavor to it that pairs beautifully with fish. But if you can't find it, I mean, there's some other wonderful herbs out there that you could absolutely use, and this would still be divine. And I was thinking, dill is certainly one of them. And I know that's not that hard to find, and you can find it easily dried. There's also dried tarragon. So, you can always use that. I mean, if that's what you have, great, it's perfect. So it says to put maybe just the whole 4-inch, this is more than 4 inches, I think, stem, like just right on top of the fish. And these are really pretty. And again, what I did when I got my tarragon, first thing we did is we gave it a nice little cold bath. I cut the ends off and then I put it in a little jar. Normally I put it in a bigger one, but it was just a little bunch. And then I will wrap a plastic bag around this, put it in the refrigerator, and it just perks up and it lasts for, I kid you not, sometimes 2 weeks. And it just has this greenhouse effect that is beautiful. Okay, I know there's one more thing. My daughter just walked in. Hi, honey. Where are you going? Oh, okay.
And
All righty. Last, I forgot to add this the last time.
olive oil. There you go.
Hey, some olive oil. Boy, I made a mess. I got stuff everywhere. Olive oil. This is when you want to use the nicest extra virgin olive oil that you own. And I don't know if you're anything like me, I adore olive oils. And there's some really lovely infused oils out there, you know. I have a couple of them here. The lemon infused one happens to be one of my favorites. Then there's, what do we have? Basil. Of course, we weren't really going in that direction for basil, but what I do love about basil, sometimes drizzling a little bit on it at the end right before I present it, you know, has a beautiful little green dots, just like the lemon one has little, you know, yellow dots. And then I don't even know what this one was, but I found it at Marshall's. I think it's got a lemon rind in it and a chili pepper. I haven't opened that one yet. And then last but not least, there's some truffle oil. I can't even tell you how long I've had this. So that would give it that another kind of umami flavoring, you know, that meaty flavor. So you can completely jazz this up on many different levels with just a little drizzle of some cool olive oil. So which one am I going to put? I think I'll just go with the standard. Oh, maybe not. Yeah, because I'm going to squirt some lemon on that later. So mine's just the extra virgin olive oil. We only get a little bit. I think it's like half a teaspoon, but you're still going to be amazed how much liquid is going to come out. You don't need any more. So doesn't that look pretty? I mean, that's just like a picture in itself right there. So I'm going to maybe move this one over. And I'm going to start folding them up. So I'm going to push it a little bit more to that edge. Fold it over as much as I can. Where am I starting? I'm going to start with the round side right here. Give it a nice big fold and really nail it down. Keep going around. Can y'all see?
Yep.
We're just going around. So the tip's going to be the last part. You see how much I have a lot to work with here, and that really helps. So essentially, we're just steaming this beautiful hunk of fish in its own juices. And trust me, it is delicious. And the other thing that I was really pleased with is I didn't eat mine until the next day, and it was still delicious the next day. So this little end part, I'm just going to fold it, fold it, fold it, fold it, fold it, fold it. And then I'm just going to tuck that little guy under. Okay, that may not be the most beautiful one. And then make sure you've got a tray ready. That's oven. It can go in the oven. And that's going on my tray. And now I got to do the other one. It looks so pretty like that. I almost want to take a picture. Scooch it back a little bit. The oven has been preheating and it's pretty high. It's at 425. Okay, here we go again. Now, again, if you don't want to do it this way, that's fine. Just get yourself some aluminum foil and wrap it up that way. But aluminum foil is expensive. So parchment, not so much. Much friendlier for the environment. Again, I'm folding it, sealing it. We don't want anything to leak out. Any idea how long my other one's been in the oven? Folding.
Around 15
This
minutes.
requires a little bit of patience. Keep going. Tuck that guy over. He's opening up a little bit on this side. No, do not. Got to go over it again. Do what you got to do to make it stay. Behave. In the original recipe, I think they actually spray the, oh, it's got butter all over it in the original papillote. So I'm just going to spray it and see what happens. Maybe that'll help the browning a little bit. And I am going to pop this in the oven. Presto changeo. And I happen to have another one in here, obviously. You saw. And it's actually, ooh, hot, hot, hot. It's puffed up a little bit. You can see. Look at that. So that's a nice sign. Now I kind of want to just sort of peek in it, just see if it's done. But I have a feeling it's done because I think it's been in there longer than 10 minutes. The recipe says 10 minutes. We definitely think it needs closer to 12. So for drama, you could just sort of puncture that, cut it, and open it this way. There's your packet. Be careful. There's steam coming out of here. I do not want you to get steam burns, are super painful. My other advice is you don't want to overcook this fish. It's already super lean and it really can easily dry out. Check that out. And voila. Woo, baby, I can see that it's cooked all the way through. Now, and if you were worried, the temperature, the internal temperature should be 125 to 130. And as it sits here, it does continue to cook a little bit. So just for giggles, I want to see what that is on the inside here. Oh yeah, it's definitely over 120. That's a beautiful thing. So you could serve it just like that, on a plate, or you could plate it. But I think this is really the way to go. That has that for that dramatic effect, just put the whole parchment doodad. You went to all this trouble, serve it like that, because I'm pretty sure that's how they would do it in a restaurant. And there we have a beautiful dinner. Now the only thing that is missing, only one thing missing. Remember that lemon? I think a little squirt of lemon is just going to send this to another level. Always, taste it first. And then if your mouth is saying, oh, it needs something, now I want to put some salt on it. Don't put the salt on it yet. Okay. Trust me. Squirt some fresh lemon on it. And I think you will find that it just brightens it up, and you won't need the salt. I'll just put a little bit of salt. Okay. So there we have it. Halibut, herbed halibut on papillote. So I hope you all enjoyed this. This is going to be a yummy dinner. I'm pretty sure everything's cooked in here. I might just have to have a little nibble.
And chef, Lisa did have a question which I answered, but wanted to kind of get your input on it. And she was asking like, where are the best places to get halibut? So kind of any recommendations when shopping for fish and what to kind of look for. I remember you were pointing out some tips in class on Tuesday and kind of like what to ask for. And I guess any tips with that would be, I think would be helpful.
Well, today I actually had a little trouble. I went to my fishmonger in Cambridge, Cool Ice. I should have called him. And I'm looking, and he didn't have any halibut. He had flounder, but I had a penchant for halibut. I mean, I go directly to a fishmonger, a grocery store that has the fishmonger there. Harris Teeter is one that I go to for halibut, but it is expensive. So there's nothing wrong with going to Aldi and getting some frozen portioned tilapia, or going out and catching your own fish, which we do out here on the Eastern Shore. Catfish, they said, is also another one that you could use in this recipe. But when you're looking for any kind of fish, like I said earlier, you really want to make sure it doesn't smell. It shouldn't be stinky. And again, you want to make sure it's firm. It doesn't have discoloration, not too much gray. You certainly don't want any black on it. You also don't want it too broken up. And it definitely don't want to see any kind of freezer burn, which means that beautiful, that translucentness of it becomes a hard kind of white. You definitely want to see a little shiny, a little translucent. If you were buying a whole fish, it's super easy to know if they're fresh, because you can look at the eyes. Now, the eyes should not be cloudy, and the gills, they try to sell you a fish. H Mart has a great selection, y'all. I mean, if you're in Baltimore or DC, there's H Marts in Ellicott City. There's one outside of Baltimore. There's a couple in the outskirts of DC. That is a fantastic fish market. And you could certainly find so many different kinds of fish. But like I said, if you're buying the whole one, ask to see the gills. If they're not red, they should be bright red. That's the first sign of freshness. So the eyes, we're gonna do the chicken dance any minute now. Touch it. Again, if when you press it and it stays in, no bueno. And if it stinks there, it's probably going to stink at home. So, and know your supplier with any kind of seafood. Harris Teeter, I've gone, and if they sell me something bad, I can get all my money back. You don't even have to bring it back. You just say it was horrible, and I'm really disappointed. So know, where it's coming from. And the other thing with halibut, you would preferably buy American or Canadian halibut, because we have some strict laws for sustainable fishing. If it comes from other countries, I'm not going to name names, they do not have as strict enforcement of sustainable fishing. So try to stay away from other sources. If it's halibut, Canadian, or the United States. I think there's Greenland, there's Atlantic, and it should look like this. But a grouper is another really nice one too to use. So it's just it's really versatile. And like I said, you could change it up with the different herbs, etc. I want to eat this. I want to take a bite. No, I can't. I got to take a picture of it. Well, I got a few more in there. Any other questions this evening? my lovely participants. I'm really delighted that you joined us this evening, and I think we are really revving up to open in person. If you can come one of these days, I will certainly let you know and send out an email blast. You'll see on the calendar, I've started to add new ones. If it says it's on hold and in the kitchen, but hopefully by May, we're going to be being in the kitchen a little bit more, but I will still be here on Thursday nights virtually, and you don't have to go anywhere to join me on the Thursday night class virtually. So we've got the best of both worlds here at the Simple Cooking with Heart Kitchen now. Y'all have a great night. Next week is Ethiopian food. Woohoo!